Good evening, everybody. Welcome into the Golfing Dads. Welcome for a happy St. Patrick's Day episode. I have kicked out my other two hosts. They decided not to be on this week, but you get one host, but two guests this week on the Golfing Dads while Dave and Steve are out cruising somewhere in the Caribbean and having a grand old time. I'm here with you. I'm still dedicated to this show. They are too. But we're going to have some fun today. Let's get it started off with an interview that we did with Nikon at the PGA show.
Hey everybody, it's Greg from the Golfing Dads here. I'm here with John from Nikon to talk about a new lineup that they've had this year with their rangefinder. So John, take it away. Tell me a little bit about your products here.
Yeah, so starting with our CoolShot Pro 3 Stabilized, it's known for our stabilization technology, so similar to our cameras, the ability to stabilize an image. You look through, you click this button closest to you once, you hold it down, you get a distance in 0.1 seconds, and you'll be able to lock onto the flag very, very easily.
I will say I have been using that all year, and that stabilization, it freaked me out the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
It was like my hand was shaking, and then boom, it was a crystal clear picture. And the way that it locks onto that target is unbelievable.
Especially when you're getting those distances so quick. If you need to shoot bunkers, water, any type of hazards in front of you, it's really easy to have that stabilization because you're able to actually lock on to what you're targeting.
I feel even sometimes I get it quicker than like a GPS will give it to me at times. So
yeah,
tell me a little about this guy over here.
So moving into our CoolShot 50i, so as you can see, strong magnet. So if you're riding on a cart, you hit a big bump, it's not going to come right off. Similar to the CoolShot Pro 3 Stabilized, it has an OLED display on the inside, so it's going to give you bright red optics. So if you have any type of weather moving in, you have thunder, lightning, hopefully not.
Yeah, that's true.
Hopefully not. But even twilight golf, it's going to always keep that red brightness there, so you're able to see your target. On top of that, you have slope, so anything you really need for play. And this light on the outside will indicate whether slope is on or off. So if you're playing in a tournament, there's no need to say, I have slope off. We know that could be controversial at times.
Exactly. So it's right there, easy display to know whether it's on or off. So where, Jonathan, can they find these fabulous Nikon products?
Yeah. So you can find our products on NikonUSA.com, PGA Tour Superstore, Worldwide Golf, Amazon, anywhere you get your golf products.
Perfect. Jonathan, thank you so much.
Great
Make sure you're checking out the Golfing Dads and Nikon.
Thank you.
Well, just like that, folks, make sure you are checking out Nikon. Thank you to Jonathan for everything you do for us here at the Golfing Dads. And if you are looking for a rangefinder, make sure you are checking out NikonUSA.com. The Cool Shots Pro 3 Stabilized. Like Jonathan said, this thing locks onto a target. The stabilization is unbelievable. This is by far one of the best rangefinders out there on the market. So if you're out there looking for a new rangefinder, make sure you are checking out Nikon. All right, with that, Steve did another interview with a friend of ours of the show, Bob from Sqairz, and they're going to talk about the shoes that they have to offer. And once again, great stabilization. Their shoes will stabilize you to the ground and help you hit the ball further. So let's send it over to Steve and Bob.
Hey, everybody, it's Steve. I feel like this is an annual tradition, you and I.
I think so.
This is Robert
7 years in a running.
Robert Winskowitz from Sqairz Golf, who I met in 2020, right before the world shut down.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've known you forever at this point now.
That's because you call me every night at like 8:30 for the last.
Just to tell you good night. Bob, you guys are here. You're with Paddle Tech.
Yeah.
And you've got kind of a lot going on. So where do you want to start? I see you've got a shoe here. This is the new golf line?
Yeah, this is a new golf shoe. I'm really proud of this design. One of the things we did this year is every year we look at golf shoes, we try to find a way to upgrade it some way, somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And the little of littlest of inefficiency we can find in a golf shoe, we try to make it efficiency.
Mhm.
And so this year, a couple things we did. A lot of people said to us, try to make it a little more breathable.
Okay.
And so this is a microfiber upper that
Mhm.
lets moisture and heat escape, but no water in. As
Okay.
you can see and notice the vents.
Yep.
So in the vents, this provides even more breathability. But I think the big thing this year is the look. It's more of an athletic cut,
Mhm.
and it's got some accenting. This is like an orange accent,
Yep.
and little details like on the laces as well. We just did a little matching, a little subtle colorway. But one of the things we do in all of our shoes now is a new blue marker insole.
Okay.
And one of the things in insoles that we found was people's feet are sliding back and forth.
Mhm.
And so this is the first ever in a golf shoe, an anti-slip insole. So we're the first one to do this. And by doing this, we can see about a half a mile to a mile increase in swing speed. Why?
Feet are staying still. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So when you look at our lacing technology, as you know, our lacing technology, once you pull this lace tight,
Mhm.
it stays there. And then you've got this down the bottom. So what it really does is lock the foot in comfortably.
Yeah.
So now you're one with the shoe. That reduces inefficiencies. And that translates into better balance, better stability, which means
And for those,
distance,
and if you're walking on the golf course, a more comfortable walk too.
100%.
More comfortable walk.
100%.
And not that, and I say that, not that your shoes were ever uncomfortable to walk in, because your shoes are still, I firmly believe, the most comfortable shoes in golf, but a much more comfortable walk with that.
You know, and you always keep trying to improve comfort.
Mhm.
And so the anti-slip is just one component. The other is the cushioning on this.
Yeah.
It's got great cushioning and great response. So
Okay.
we
Yep.
did improve upon that. And then we have the new pickleball. And the new pickleball shoe is a completely new design from
That
what we
is
did.
new. That's very new. Yeah.
And one of the things we did is we put this piece here, which is a new material that prevents against any kind of abrasion.
Mhm.
So that way the wear is there. Same on the outsole. We improved the outsole. But again, we put the blue marker insole on every shoe we do now.
Okay.
Because any sport that you get the quick twitches,
Mhm.
the quick movements,
Mhm.
you want to keep the foot in there, one with the shoe. On this shoe, we added some detail here, which reduces expansion. So again, one of the all-around best pickleball shoes. In fact, the largest pickleball community called Pickleheads voted us the best performing pickleball shoe.
That's the least surprising thing I'm going to hear today at the PGA show. You did something this year. I know this because we've had this conversation. You did something you said you would never do.
Yes, that's true.
You did something you said you would never do. And that is make a spikeless golf shoe.
Well,
And I want to talk about it because you and I had this conversation back in 2020 about spikes, what they do with ground force and staying connected to the ground. And you said, I'll never make a spikeless golf shoe. This is one of the things you said to me.
that's why they say you never say never.
Never. Okay.
All right. So I'm going to eat those words. But the reason I said that is because we did a lot of testing early on.
Mhm.
And we saw about an 8 to 9 yard difference
Yep.
between a spike shoe and a spikeless shoe.
Mhm.
But I spent a lot of time on this because I saw the simulator business in leagues go up and
Yep.
people practicing indoors
Mhm.
on synthetic mats and
And not just here in America,
every,
but around the globe.
right. And the worst thing you could do is use a cleated product there because your foot's going to get caught in that
Yeah.
and you're going to get hurt. The second thing is I see people practicing in like their sneakers.
Yeah.
And now you're practicing in like a Hoka that you've got a thick midsole. And when you think about ball striking, you
Yeah.
don't want to be up another inch and then
No.
go to your golf shoes and be down an inch.
Yeah.
So I said, look, we got to do this, but let's find a traction system that can come as close as possible to a spike shoe. And we did it.
And you made another shoe for another sport that kind of that looks like that same design.
we did the same thing in baseball.
Yeah, you did.
And
yeah.
we see tremendous, and that was kind of the confidence that I needed
Yeah.
to go into this. But this is a lightweight shoe with a purposeful traction pattern,
Mhm.
not like a lot of spikeless shoes out there that just take a sneaker-like shoe and throw anything on the bottom of it.
Yeah.
This was meant for golf. It's got a rotational pattern.
Yep.
Cleats are at different heights here,
Mhm.
and it still has the anti-torsion.
Okay. I hate to leave. I'm a big baseball fan. You know that. We've talked a lot about baseball, you and I even. How's the baseball line doing? And what do you guys see in there?
Fantastic. It blew me away this year. I am so pleased with the business. We became the official shoe of Major League Baseball Players Association,
Yep.
the official shoe of Perfect Game. So, we've got over 250 Major League Baseball players wearing the shoes. And the reason for that is that people just find it hard to believe that a shoe can make that much difference. And then when they try it and they get in a cage and they measure their pitching velocity or their exit velocity, they can see the differences.
Oh, that's awesome. First off, knowing you since 2020, congratulations on everything that you guys have accomplished. That is a huge feat at Sqairz. Going from the dungeon in this building where we met the first time to standing here today. I love you. I love you as a friend more than anything else. And to see the success you guys have had is unbelievable.
Well, I really appreciate that. And you too, with your business too. And I appreciate the friendship.
Yes.
But like I always tell people like you, without you, I wouldn't have a platform. So thank you for what you do.
I appreciate it, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time today. Best of luck this week. Enjoy the views here at the pickleball court.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Oh,
I just said I will count you in.
I thought you were going there.
I went like this. This is 5.
Yeah, can you do me a favor? Could you can just let me know when you guys.
As it seems, when I just have my mic on mute there, Steve doesn't know when we count in, but we have fun with what we do here. And if you ever want to learn about the science behind shoes, Bob is unbelievable. You can listen to him for hours just talk about shoes because he has such a passion for what he does. And everything that he promotes in that shoe is 100% true. It does help your golf game. And to top it off, it's one of the most comfortable golf shoes I have ever worn. So make sure you are also checking out Sqairz for your golf and pickleball needs. Check out sqairz.com. All right. So thank you to Bob. Thank you to Jonathan for doing those interviews with us at the PGA show. We got a lot more coming from the PGA show this year. We did a lot of content there, and it's been just so much fun to share all of this with all of you. So thank you for watching and for putting up with all of us and what we do here at the Golfing Dads. All right. This week was an amazing week. We had what a lot of people call the 5th major, but I think it's a standalone tournament. It is fun in its own right, and that is the Players Championship. And a lot of things happened this week, so we got to break all of those down. First and foremost, congratulations to Cam Young on his victory this week. Let's talk about that first. It was an amazing week of golf at the Players at TPC Sawgrass. 17, as always, the Alice Dye special on that Pete Dye course. Didn't disappoint. It was lived up to the hype, had some fun, and got to see a lot of great golf shots this week. A lot of disappointments out there. Ludwig Oberg had a chance to win. He had a 4-shot lead going into all of this. And it was amazing to watch everyone try to catch him. And he was holding his own for a while. But there was something I was feeling while I was watching this. And I just felt like he wasn't starting to run away with this. And I was hoping that my pick, Sepp Straka, was going to come back. But he also kind of had some trouble out there, had a few doubles that hurt him. But he kept staying in the mix until the last double that he had. And Cam Young was always just right there. And Steve and I were texting back and forth talking about this. And Steve actually called me from his cruise. So I don't know why you're wasting a time calling me while you're on a great cruise out there, Steve. But he goes, man, if Cameron could just hit some putts, he'd be winning this thing right now. Little did we know that he just really had to wait out, start hitting some putts, and he would be the champion. It made for another exciting week on the PGA Tour. This is what we love out here. This is what we love seeing. We love seeing these players out there grinding for this. And you can have a 4-shot lead, you can have an 8-shot lead, and sometimes it's not safe. And you have players like Cam Young catching up to Oberg, who just couldn't keep that pace. He was hitting pars. He didn't really make many mistakes, but when he did make mistakes, he recovered from them. There are times he should have had a bogey, and he made a great putt to save par. He hit one in the water on one of the final holes and still made par on that hole. So he was still grinding out there. He just couldn't outlast Cameron Young, who, once again, congratulations on your players' victory this week. And speaking of a victory, if you're out there and you're looking for a new golf ball, make sure you're checking out Bridgestone Golf and their Tour B line. I use the RX model with the Mindset technology out there. Their new Velo Surge. If you haven't seen any of the commercials for this yet, especially our friends at St. Andre's Golf and what they add to the golf industry is amazing. But the MOI that the Velo Surge adds really makes this ball unlike anything I've ever hit before. Even last year's model, you can feel the difference and the better performance that you get out of these golf balls. Check out BridgestoneGolf.com for the best golf balls in the game. All right. We talked about this last week, and we said wrong answers only. The CEO gives his State of the Tour address, kind of like the State of the Union that our president gives to us. He gives the State of the Tour address and what's going to be coming, what the future is going to unfold. We made some joking comments that Liv would take over, that there would only be one round per year. We made some funny predictions that we knew were not going to be what was actually coming of this. But every year, something is shocking. Like one year, it was that there was a sit down with Liv and Yasser. One year, it's complaining about what's going on. But this year, there are some great ideas that are out there, and maybe some people that think there are controversial ideas out there. But let's break down some of the main ideas that Rolap brought up in his State of the Tour. First, the schedule. There's going to be a lot of changes coming to this schedule. This year, in 2026, there are 50 or so PGA Tour events that are out there. He's saying that he wants to take that down to about 21, 26, including the majors and the Ryder Cup. So I think you're going to see around that 26 range. With that, each year we've had about 8 signature events. So this year there are 8 signature events that are on tour. They've played with this for a while and tried to feel out how signature events are. They've moved some of the signature events around. Some have stayed the same. They've moved when they are. But now he wants to take those 8 signature events and double it to about 16 signature events. The other thing with the schedule changes, he wants to change the field size. He wants the field size to now be 120. He wants those exciting cuts on Friday. He wants those cuts to be there, not have these no cut events that they've tried out. Doesn't think that works. Also, adding to the schedule, he wants more major or larger metropolitan areas to host events so that they can reach a broader audience. And with that being said, they want to have a few more international events as well. So what are your thoughts that you think these changes are going to affect on the schedule standpoint? I really kind of like the change of 50 events. I sometimes think it's every single week out there, and that can be tough. Not everyone plays every single week. We'll even talk about that when we talk about the Valspar later on in the show. But I think changing the events from 50 to 26 can keep people more engaged. I think that it'll give time to hype up for those bigger events like the majors. I mean, I'm wearing my Masters cap here. I'm also wearing Golfish. And if you're looking for a great clothing apparel, make sure you're checking out golfish.com for all your golfing needs. It'll take you from the marina to the golf course, golfish.com. But these events, I think, will make all of the events that much more special. We've always talked that all the events out here are fun to watch. Even the events that don't have the top 25 or as many signature names in these events, we see these great storylines. But I think that you're shorting the events and you're making the field back to about 120, I think kind of evens that out. And we'll get to something else that I think could be very interesting for the tour that I kind of like for other sports when we get to the next topic that he talked about. The signature events, this is really, I think, just making half of your things signature events. You're going to have a lot of signature events, the majors, and then just some regular events mixed in there with it. So once again, making the events themselves more meaningful out there. I feel all of the golf events are meaningful. All 50 are meaningful right now, but this is really going to give more focus to each of them. And I think this could lead to a great thing. The larger metropolitan areas, when I think of larger metropolitan areas, I don't really think of golf per se, but I grew up in New Jersey and New York's just in the shadow there. And there are amazing golf courses in that metropolitan area. I'm here in Indiana now. There's not a major metropolitan area, but a big metropolitan area, and it has great golf courses. So I think this could help showcase some great historic golf courses too, because the Chicago area, go out to LA, San Francisco, and it's going to have more of those historic courses, I hope, and bring more crowds to the PGA Tour, and those crowds bring the excitement with them. So that could be exciting as well. The international events, I think this could be tough. I like that they're doing them. I'd be interested to see where they go with them because I think Liv has been successful with the international circuit that they have and have risen the game in especially Australia. I'd like to see the PGA Tour go there as well because you see the passion for it. I'd kind of like to see South Africa, different parts of the world, China as well, and be able to see more of that on the PGA Tour. Not all the time, but you're going to have less events, so there's more time for travel to have a week off before that. Maybe see an international event right before another international event with the Open and have a week off in between there. But I think you got to look at stuff like the Scottish Open, and there's a lot of moving parts with all of this. All right, so moving on from the schedule, when you get to the playoffs, when we get to the playoffs and the postseason, they want to make it a little bit more exciting. Steve and I kind of talked about this when this was announced, and we kind of have different of opinions here. I like the idea that Roll-Up kind of came up with here of having a match play for the playoffs, but I'd like to see how that plays out. Would it be like a round robin? Would this look like kind of the U.S. Amateur where you have a round robin, then you make the playoffs after that and make it a few different events that you get to, maybe not East Lake because they've talked about moving the Tour Championship, and the Tour Championship becomes that match play, and you take the top 16, and it's March Madness right now, so brackets, I'm in the thick of that. I like a bracket. I like a match play. I think this could be exciting. I think it also brings that casual fan in to kind of see that, oh, this person beat this and who advances in there. And you could do a lot with this. Roll-Off comes from the NFL, and fantasy football is a big thing, gets people into this. I think this could bring that kind of like March Madness bracket picking into golf, and people would get excited into it that normally might not be, but they like that competition and that bracket style competition. This could be something that could be fun for the PGA Tour. We've seen it before. Match play kind of went away with the dissolvement of the World Golf Championships, and I missed that. I liked the match play. I thought it was fun. I thought it was a unique, something different from every week just playing stroke play. I like when they mix that up, and I hope they do more of that in the future here on tour. Now, something that I think is great for every sport, and I love that European soccer teams are known for this, and it's not something that we have adopted in American sports, but could be adopting here on the PGA Tour and could be a great place for it, is a two-tier, two-track system, which means promotion and relegation. So right now, we kind of have it on the PGA Tour in the sense of when you're on the Corn Ferry Tour, you could earn your card and then get promoted up to the PGA Tour. And then if you're playing well, you stay on the PGA Tour. And if you're not, you can go back to the Corn Ferry Tour. So that system kind of exists, but is not really thought of that way. Where I think if they revamp this, I wonder if it's going to be kind of a two-tier PGA Tour system that would have events that are going on. So that's where these 26 events, so you took the field of 50 down to 26. Do you split that up? And there's 26 of the top tier PGA and 26 of the second tier PGA. And then people work their way back up. Another thing that a lot of sports outlets have been talking about is, do these run concurrent? And could this happen mid-season? Could it be that at mid-season, if you're at a certain place, you're going to drop down to the lower events and jump up to the higher events? Who knows? I still think they're thinking about this. I think that this committee that's out there are trying to think of every angle and think of what will work. And I'm hoping they're not just throwing ideas out there and just wanting to try ideas. I'm hoping they're really thinking these through, come up with a good system that the players can agree on, and we think could help improve the tour and bring more people into the tour. Because a lot of people see golf and they just say, oh, golf is boring to watch. But once you understand it, once you play it, you really get it. When I was young, I thought golf was boring. Then I started to play golf and really liked the sport, so I understood it more. Then I started to watch golf and really understood it more and understood that, hey, someone might be behind. If they hit a birdie here, I'm rooting for them. I want someone to catch up. I'm rooting for the leader out there. You're watching people play and improve and the leaderboard change, and it's exciting out there and it's exciting to watch. But you need ways to do that. TGL is another way to kind of do that now with the technology and the simulator golf that's out there. And that's going on right now as well. Their playoffs are starting. They're in the semifinals. So congratulations to those teams. And it's exciting to watch that as well. So giving these different types of aspects or changing the tour up a little bit, if they do it the right way, can be very beneficial and help grow the tour. I don't know that it'll grow the game, but I hope it does. I hope that people see this and they see that, oh, there's different ways to play golf. That's why I like the match play system. I like that they do a team event in New Orleans as well. I think that that shows that you don't just have to play golf as straight up stroke play. There's scrambles. I'd like to see something like that on the PGA Tour. Maybe there's a week that they do something like that. I like when they do the matches and the players are out there just having fun with it. That helps grow the tour, and I think that helps grow the game. So if you're doing these changes to help grow the tour and grow the game, then I think you're doing the right thing. But you have to do what's right for the players as well, because they are the pros out there. They're the ones who make their livelihood out of this. So you have to loop them in on this, and I hope that this committee that Tiger and some other players are on is taking all of that into consideration. And I think they have what's best for the tour in mind. So we'll see what happens with that. But I do like the idea of the two-tier system. I hope it's kind of a two-tier PGA system, and then there's still the Corn Ferry, and you still work your way back up. Because a lot of those soccer leagues like La Liga, the Premier League, have 2, 3, sometimes 4 different leagues that you can work your way up. Just watch Wrexham out there. They worked their way up 3 different tiers and have been making a name for themselves, and that's fun to watch. So I think that could be fun to watch on the PGA Tour if you're rooting for a player and they're getting their way up, just like we watched Yelamarja this week make a name for himself at the Players. That was an exciting thing to watch as well. All right. The other thing that I think you've heard enough of on this show, Steve rants and raves about it all the time, the golf ball rollback. This was something that I was surprised that he brought up, but very timely and makes sense because the golf ball rollback is coming. The R&A and the USGA came out with that they're rolling the golf ball standards back to shorten the game in a sense so you can't hit it as far. This has been a controversial topic because is it just affecting PGA Tour players like the long ball hitters that they're not going to hit it as far? As a player who doesn't hit it far normally still going to be able to hit it as far? They're going to lose yardage as well. And I liked what Roloff said here. I liked that he said the PGA may not adopt this. They don't have to adopt this. They are a separate tour. They don't have to adopt this rule for their events. It would be at the US Open because the USGA does regulate that. So the players would have to adjust if the PGA doesn't adopt it when they played in the US Open. But he also said he needs to be brought up to speed on this. He came over from the NFL. He's not up to speed on where the decision process was, why this decision is being made, how it affects the game. And I think it's great that he says, hey, we may adopt it, we may not adopt it, but I need to learn more. He didn't just come in and try to make a political statements of, oh, I think this, and kind of talk around it. He said, it could go either way, but I need to be brought up to speed on this. And I think that's a good way to look at this. I think it needs to take a step back. I think sometimes I love the USGA and I love the R&A, but sometimes I think they jump to too many conclusions. How I talked about, I hope the PGA Tour, when they're making these schedule changes and adjustments, are taking the time to consider everything before they make something official. I kind of wish the USGA and the R&A would do more of that. They might, but it doesn't seem that way. I feel sometimes the USGA and the R&A make these decisions as kind of a knee-jerk reaction, a kind of a gut decision. Like we talked last week with Ashke, the broomstick putter and anchoring. There's a lot of debate out there on that. I don't think it gives you any kind of competitive advantage, but they just started banning it when people started winning with it on tour. But not everyone was winning with it on tour. So that's where I don't think it was an advantage. I think everyone would have switched to it and it would have been an advantage. Unlike where I say a baseball bat, an aluminum baseball bat versus a wood baseball bat, there's a definite advantage there. So I like that Roll-Up is looking at this saying, hey, we might not adopt this. I want to know more, and we're going to take our time to know more about this. So in the comments, let us know what you think about all of these changes that are out there. The schedule changes, going to less events, more signature events, bigger field sizes so you don't have those non-cut events, which I like. Coming to metro areas, what metro areas would you want to see? What international areas do you want to see? What do you think about a relegation system on the PGA Tour, and what would you make that look like? Let us know in the comments what you think about the state of the tour and the announcements that were made. All right. With that being said, we need to get into next week and the Valspar. The Valspar takes place at Copperhead and is a fun event each year. Some controversy came with this that a few players have backed out of this event right after the players. And that's where I kind of look at these schedule changes that maybe this could help that, where players won't back out of events. They'll stay in events so you'll know who you're going to see. I mean, one of the players that backed out of this event was Robert McIntyre, who I was going to pick this week in our picks because I thought he played really well last week. He just missed out. He was off by 3 strokes in the end, but was right up there on Sunday fighting for the Players' Championship, and he was playing really well. And I thought that this could be a good week for him to get a good win, but he has backed out for whatever reason he has shown. This has given other players an opportunity to play, which I do like that other players will get an opportunity, but I like to see a field when I know someone's going to be there. It's sad when they don't show up, and that's someone you were looking forward to seeing. But the Valspar is a fun event. Every year always has some great drama in it. Last year, Victor Hovland is your defending champion, and it was a great win for him last year. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do this year. The field is set. You don't have a lot of players that are in You only have one player in the top 10 in the world golf rankings. You have 3 players in the top 10 rankings of this year, including Ashke, winner at Bay Hill, Jacob Bridgman, who's been having an unbelievable season. Then you have Xander Schauffele, who is 17 in the ranking, but number 7 in the world golf rankings. So you do have a lot of good players in this field, and it'll be a fun event to watch as well. All right. With that being said, our picks, I don't have picks. I don't do our odds with Dave. Dave is off in the Caribbean somewhere. I'm sure having a drink, hopefully watching this episode live and enjoying what he's seeing. I know Steve's probably out there yelling, being like, Greg, you're not doing good enough, but we're having fun. All right. I need to bring something up with our picks. Last week, if you watched our show, you saw that our picks were, I picked Sepp Straka, Dave picked Jordan Spieth, and Steve picked Colin Morikawa. But on Thursday, as I was watching the first round, I was talking to Steve, and all of a sudden, Colin Morikawa dropped out, and he had an early tee time that day. So we had to make a decision, and we made a decision to let Steve pick somebody else. So I want to hear from you in the comments. Should we have done that? Should we have let Steve pick somebody else? The rules were he had to pick someone who hasn't teed off yet. So someone who had an afternoon tee time or had a tee time within the next few minutes, but hadn't teed off at that time. He was actually going to pick Oberg. But as we were on the phone, Oberg had just finished the first hole and had already teed off. And I said, we're not going to allow that. We had to get with Dave because Dave had already left for his vacation. Steve was in the process of leaving for his vacation. And we had to make a decision. We all agreed we would give Dave another pick. No, not Dave. We'd give Steve another pick. Of course, Steve picks Cam Young. Cam Young goes on to win the event. And it's the first time that has happened in our picks. And it was an interesting concept to see that. It was fun to kind of see how that plays out. So should we have let him pick? I want to hear what you have to say with that. So leave a comment down there. Should we have let Steve pick? Because he did pick a winner. So he gets to pick first this week based on our rules. And with the first pick at the Valspar, he is picking Jacob Bridgman to win this week. I think that's a great pick. I think Bridgman's playing unbelievable this year. And to be honest, I would like to see him win. I don't want to see Steve win the pick again, but I think, Steve, you made a good pick here. I had the second best finish at this, so I will pick third. Steve only picks first because he picked the outright winner. So Dave, who would have normally picked first in this position because he was in third in our picks last week, he has taken Justin Thomas, and I think this is another great pick out there. I like that Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, they've been struggling over the past few years, and I like seeing their comeback, and I want to see them get back into form and get back into their prime playing time and playing better and getting some wins out there. So I do hope Justin Thomas gets the win this week. But both of them are completely wrong. And I get to say that this week because this is just my show this week. And I hope you're enjoying it. And sorry you got to listen to me this whole time. But Matthew Fitzpatrick, Fitzy, is going to win this week at Valspar. Fitzpatrick played amazing down the run at the Players. There's a video out there of him talking to some of the fans and doing some nice things as well. So make sure you're checking that out. But I think Fitzpatrick, this could be his week to get another win on tour. So I am taking Matt Fitzpatrick this week. So there you have it. There's your winner this week. I am the only one that has picked 2 winners with my original picks this year so far. But we'll see what happens this week. Make sure you are checking out all of our social media outlets and everything we have to offer. There's some great pictures out there of our interviews last week. And thank you again to all of our sponsors. And if you're looking for great clubs out there, make sure you're checking out Upswing for all of your kids' golf club needs. Upswing Golf grows with your kids. These are amazing golf clubs, and you have to think you buy kids clothes a lot, you buy them golf clubs a lot too. But with the Upswing golf club system, you can just change out the shaft and the clubs grow with them. So you only have to buy a shaft. You're not buying a million clubs every single week as your kid grows. Check out upswinggolf.com for all of your kids' golf club needs. But if you're an adult and you're looking for golf clubs, make sure you're checking out Cobra Golf. Cobra Golf has some of the best clubs on the market now. If you are looking for irons that are perfect feel and forged and 3D printed, make sure you're checking out Cobra's 3D printed lines. And for drivers, we say it's the cheat code in drivers. That Future Fit 33 technology is now in their new Optum driver and their DS Adapt system. It is unbelievable. When you dial in to one of those 33 settings, you will hit a golf ball better than you've ever hit a golf ball before. So make sure you are checking out Cobra Golf for all of your golf club needs. All right. With all of that being said, thank you, everyone. Thank you to Jonathan. Thank you from Nikon, and thank you to Bob from Sqairz for all that you do to help us with our games, and both of you with that stabilization. Bob with feet on the ground, and Jonathan with that stabilization with the rangefinder. Thank you for watching. Cheers, everybody. All right, guys.